Boom. I think we're here. All right. It's Wednesday, August 30th. September is right around the corner. Unbelievable. And welcome to the C47's channel and another weekly live stream. My name is Jem Schofield. And my guess is, with the number or lack thereof of people, that you probably know who I am. Bart, good to see you. It's been a while. Brandon, how you doing? Thaddeus, DJ Sucker Tash, aka Sunny, aka DJ Sucker Tash. So good. I glad to be here, and it's been busy here in the barn. And I appreciate everybody showing up and we get the conversation going. We don't know if it lasts for 20 minutes or 40 minutes or a full hour. I block an hour out every Wednesday at this time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. You do the math for Greenwich Mean and all that other good stuff around the world. And then sometimes at the top of the show, if you want to call it a show, it's not really a show, but we do some housekeeping. And the housekeeping this week is do not forget that next Wednesday, September 6th, at this same time on this same bat channel, it is the first live stream for Camera Flask that we've had in a very long time. So that's myself, Caleb Pike. Caleb Pike is from DSLR Video Shooter, Ben Barden from benbarden.co.uk, and we are all friends, and we get together once a month on that first Wednesday with all of you, and we talk about all kinds of stuff related to cameras and lighting and all that good stuff. So, one thing I keep forgetting to do now that I'm doing the daily drop, which is a daily, series that I'm doing every weekday, is on Wednesdays remembering to mention the live stream. So I'll try to remember to do that and push that out to social because I think that's a good idea. And what we do here on every live stream, except for that first Wednesday of every month, which is Camera Flask, is we just kind of open it up to discuss episodes of the Daily Drop. We talk about new announcements. We talk about questions you might have about production, things that you want to know about, things that relate to producing projects, to the actual nuts and bolts, tech and craft of executing projects. We don't really focus too much on the post side of things, but it's really production. So video production and that area, all fair game. We try to keep politics, religion, and science out of it as much as possible, except for the science part sometimes when it has to do with inverse laws and all that kind of stuff. But I just like to try to make pretty pictures, tell stories, and all that fun stuff. So the only way the live stream works is if you're interacting. Otherwise, I'm just standing here for the better part of an hour and try to make stuff up as I go along. Yes, Brandon, food. And it is supposed to be interactive. The whole reason I'm doing the daily drop is it's recorded content. It goes up there. People can make comments about it, and I can, answer those questions or reply to those comments. But this weekly live stream is all about interaction. It's about asking questions about things. It's about figuring things out. So there you go. Thank you, Thaddeus, that you liked the microphone episode and the tripod extension episode. And again, I will say to you, Brandon, one more time. And yes, food. It's always about food for me. I mean, I have sort of my my favorite things in life. And one of the things that occupies my mind more than most things should is food and thinking about food and cooking food. And we've got a thing coming up this weekend with our friends. So we're planning menus and we usually have a theme. And I went shopping for some of the stuff this morning when I took my son to a basketball practice. And it's always on the mind. Sad that the second season of The Bear is over and looking for a fix. Not to dwell, but and it's a long time ago now, but losing somebody like Anthony Bourdain was just sort of devastating to people like me who love food so much, and um, just nobody did it like he did. So yeah, that sucks. But I don't know why I was thinking about it. Well, I was thinking about it because we're talking about food. So for dinner tonight, what's for dinner? I'm not cooking tonight. I think it's going to be a very simple roasted chicken recipe. That's not really on the high end of my list, but if it's done well, and there's this particular recipe by Ina Garden where you take essentially croutons, and so you roast the chicken, and then it has lots of lemon and butter, of course, and salt and oil and garlic, and then you soak those croutons, those toasted pieces of deliciousness, in all of those juices and everything, and it's just ridiculous. So my wife's making that, probably with a side of nice green beans. It's tomato season here in Oregon, like crazy. So we've just got fresh tomatoes here. I can go down the hill to the farmer, 75 cents a pound, and if I wanted to go every day, it'd be just tomatoes like crazy. I know that roast chicken is Thomas Keller's favorite meal, and it's like Jacques Pepin's omelet, right? It's sort of like the test, and I'm not saying we pass the test. Um, yeah, so it's definitely not my my grandmother's chicken though, and that was sometimes indistinguishable from, well, you couldn't identify it as a chicken, so, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So there you go. Coffee Talk and Tech. What's happening? Thanks for the comment. I'm getting hungry right now. I had just a little like bite, a little snack when I picked my son up from basketball, and it's just not cutting it. So when I'm done with the live stream, because I'm not cooking and because I knew I wasn't cooking and because of my schedule today, I'm actually going to shoot tomorrow's episode of the Daily Drop, and then I am going to edit that, and then hopefully it'll be done and up to the world before dinner time. And don't be surprised if I look very similar to this and the set looks very similar to this. I'm not doing another long episode today like I did yesterday. That one took a while to kind of sort out. Understatement. Bart, some mango chicken kebabs on the Weber kettle tonight. Sounds good. Interested to know whether or not you marinate that chicken ahead of time, or it's just sort of a very fresh recipe. Um, Give me more information. I want to know if it's a slow cook. Is it white meat, dark meat combinations? That can be tricky sometimes. Brandon, I probably have had mutton, or as we like to say in Scotland, old sheep. Well, we don't say that, but not, the recollection isn't there. It probably was in something that was braised or in a stew or something like that. I like duck very much. I've had rabbit pie, not in a long time. I'm game for trying most stuff at least once. And there you go. Okay, don't forget also, as a housekeeping, if you have a question, put an at theC47 at the top of it. I'll still scan everything because that's what the live stream's all about. But Coffee Talk and Tech asks, may I ask what streaming software you are using? OBS, vMix, etc. I am using something that is, well, for me, it's not a problem, but it's unfortunately only Mac based. It's called Ecamm Live with two M's, ECAMM Live. And I absolutely love it. I think it's probably, I don't say the end all for me, but it does what I need it to do, and it does it very well. And the developers of Ecamm Live really understand producing a product for doing this, and it has made my life a lot easier. And for the most part, it just works, and they constantly continue to develop. So it's sometimes weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. There's an update. you fire up the app and it asks you to do an update, and that means that they care. That means that they're constantly developing the app and the solution. So that's what I'm using. Ecamm Live. I have used OBS in the past. I've used some other live streaming solutions that have probably grown up a little bit, but if you have been with the channel for a long time and sort of gone through the growing pains of live streams here, it has been comical at times. And there you go. Huskies are getting chicken too. Bart Johnson says we shred Costco rotisserie chickens and add them to their food. Yeah, they're spoiled, but our dogs get real. They get like raw food as well, so that's part of their diet. Chicken thighs, dark meat, more flavor. Slightly sweet barbecue rub, and then let them sit covered overnight, and then add the mango marinade for a few hours. Okay, but what's in the mango marinade? It's not just mangoes, because that's not going to hold that well. It's just all sugar, hits the grill unless it's not direct heat. That could work. Give me some information, Bart. I need more information. So Brandon says, I remember what I wanted to ask. Have you given batch recordings with a wardrobe change a thought? I have. In fact, when I started the Daily Drop, I was trying to be a week ahead. So those first episodes were shot a week before. All right, Bart. Don't give me secrets. You can give me at least something besides mango marinade. So, it's hard because part of it's just the way I'm wired. I think that I giving time to one episode in a day and trying to execute that, having it done, pushing it up there. Like I'm always now even thinking about short form content. Does it make sense to do reels that are not just promos for the YouTube channel? But it's so much. I'm going to let this sort of, you know, marinate, if we're talking about food, organically and see where the whole thing goes. So, I have thought about doing those, many episodes in a row with a wardrobe change. The other thing I've really been thinking about is just getting, I have the C47 hoodies, but I'm thinking about just getting something that I can wear that's the same every day. Like the same thing I'm wearing every day that I do the Daily Drop. Maybe it's branded with the logo, and it just takes away the whole. I don't iron stuff. My iron is a dryer with like a wet towel in it or a steamer. But I'm not ironing anything. So it's sort of, it would be a lot easier if I did that. So I think I'll figure it out. Okay. So let's get on to other stuff. Don't forget at the C47 if you have a specific question before your question, but it's fine. Thank you, Bart, for that additional information. Ryan, great to see you here. Thank you very much for the kind words. I am actually shooting the Daily Drop every single day, and I would like to batch a few together, but I also, I'm running a business and trying to get more business and all of that good stuff. And, the climate is tepid right now, the temperature in the water with the strikes. And it's not as if I'm, producing narrative television shows or feature films, but at the same time, it all relates, especially because a lot of the content that I produce is in and around products that have to do with this industry. So, think about lighting companies, camera companies, audio companies. This is not the best time for them. It doesn't mean there isn't business in certain product categories for them. You think about creators, influencers, whatever that category is. You think about corporate production. You think about documentary. There's a lot of categories of video production that do not fall into things that necessarily need writers or need, on-camera talent that are SAG-AFTRA. But at the same time, and maybe I'll talk about the strikes in an episode of the Daily Drop. It all kind of relates. So, and then you couple that with, what we're in right now and about to come out of, which is the month of August, this is historically a quiet time for the industry, for many good reasons. I mean, for the commercial, especially the narrative, episodic television feature film industry, this is when a lot of productions go dark. And for good reason. It's because people are spending time with their families and they're going on vacations and they're doing the things that they don't get to do throughout the year. And that's true in the corporate space as well. It's the reason that we don't see tons of trade shows and a lot of activity usually right in the middle of the summer, and that makes a lot of sense. So we kind of, get that beginning of June, and then things ramp back up again in the beginning to middle of September. So it would be great if I could do a few episodes in a row, and make it a lot easier. I have done stuff where I've changed my shirt, but it would just make things a lot easier if from a wardrobe standpoint, if I was wearing the same thing every day. I'm not going to do a mock turtleneck Steve Jobs style, but I got to come up with something. Plus, it's a pain to mic those. So something with buttons, at least some. I'm not a huge polo fan, even though I wear them all the time, but I wear them all the time because they're easy to mic. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see what we got here. Brandon says Instagram and YouTube both said they're boosting reels and shorts. It's true. And, I'm pushing my promos to most of the social platforms. Interestingly, I'm not seeing a lot of people reply or comment, or maybe not interestingly, on the one that has an identity crisis right now, which is Twitter/X/Twitter. Nobody knows what to call it anymore. And if you start digging in the app, you'll see that some things are still called Twitter. So I don't know what's going to happen. I am, even though I'm, not a big fan of the Meta company, pushing to Instagram, Facebook, which I don't use for personal. It's all, business related, and to now Threads. But I should probably push the promos onto, I haven't thought about it, but onto Shorts, because they're not educational, though. That's the only problem. They're pushing people to a longer form piece of content. But for now, like I said, I'm going to, let it stew organically, let it marinate a little bit, and let it braise. And then we'll see in 2-3 weeks from now kind of how I feel about what I want to do. Times are tough. Yes. Wrap production on a documentary I've been working on for almost 3 years. Yeah. Docs, man. Bad timing on finishing up, or just because you're wrapping it? Be happy to hear. Yeah, because of where you are geographically, Bart, I know that you get some stuff that's political. And as we go sort of out of 23 into 24, obviously it's a big election year. Then, DC area, Virginia, Maryland, it gets really busy over there. All right, Travis says, just watching your recent upload and saw you were live. Hey, Travis. I've really increased my, yes. Yeah, a lot of those cameras have been around for a long time, Travis, just so you know. I don't know who this Jim guy is, and I know I say that whenever I see the name Jim, because to 99% of the people, I'm Jim in the world that don't know me. So I'm just giving you a hard time about that. But yeah, a lot of these cameras behind me have been around for a long time. I've been surrounded by photographers for my whole life, and I really started taking photographs when I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I had a couple of smaller little, you know, 35 millimeter cameras. My first real camera was a used Pentax K1000, and that's a tank of a camera. And over there, which you can't see, are sort of my collection of film cameras that I really have collected over the last few years, and those are the ones that I really like. Okay, gotcha, Bart. That's what I thought you meant. David, what do I think about Aperture's acquisition of ProLight? Good. All right. So now we're actually getting into some real questions. I mean, not that there wasn't some before, but I- I know that at least within the industry, we've been talking about consolidation for quite a while. And that may not be the conversations you're having, but if you have been to an NAB or especially a Cine Gear any time in the last couple of years, you'll notice that there are a lot of lighting companies, and it's a space that's changed a lot. I mean, when I first started out as a little kid in the industry, there were really two companies that were, that we would go to for lighting solutions. And there were some, there was some other, all right, let's say three companies. I'm going to say three for me. So number one was Ari, that three light kit with the RE blue heads, the one, was it the 300, the 650 and the 1K, or you would get the 150, 300 and the 650. Depended. That's the kit I had, the previous one, or the ones that I was using. And then Lowell, which was kind of like the original small to no crew, but really a company started by a cinematographer. Dado Light was around and was amazing. A lot of people used them for precision, and then you had KinoFlow. So you had that. Yep. So you had those three main companies, and Dado Light I put into that mix as well. And they weren't the only companies out there. I mean, if you were going into big stages and stuff, you had Mole Richardson, you had DeSisti, you had other companies that were making fixtures. But if you're talking about corporate production, you're talking about small to no crew production, you're really thinking about lights from the stuff that was doing for broadcast television. You're thinking Kino Flow, you're thinking low lighting, pro lights, Todas sometimes, Omnis for sure, and you're thinking about that RE kit, the 150, 300, 650, and then you start getting into 1Ks and things like that. But you're really going to rental houses for the bigger fixtures. And then the world changed. And now, if you look at it, and this is a long ass answer to your question, David, I'm sorry, but there's so many lighting companies, and that's taking out of the equation the little tiny lighting companies. And by the way, when LEDs started coming to the market, and of course light panels was really at the forefront of that, and somewhere in a box I still have that original on-camera brick of a light that ran for almost no time and had almost no lumens of output. This little 5C here from Nanlite has far more output than that original little light from light panels. And then you had like you did have the, let's say, knockoffs, but kind of. So you had a company called Cool Lights, which was run by an American guy, but he was sourcing all of his stuff from China, and I had a relationship with them for a long time. Um, and they were kind of doing Kino Flow, you know, like much less expensive versions of Kino Flows, and then LEDs, and quality and consistency of the panels was not great. But it was really like the beginning of all that. And I have all that crap. I mean, I really have gone through lots of this. But it's just been overwhelming, and there's a lot of same as now. And a company will come out with one version of a particular form factor of a light that can do certain things, and it might be slightly better, or the technology in it is more advanced, or it's more color accurate, whatever it is, more features, more bells and whistles, or more output, or more consistency of whatever. And it's just gotten crazy. So I think I think that I think it's probably good. Um and I think that they probably thought about it for quite some time. And ProLight is a serious lighting company, and I think that without the acquisition, it would have been a little bit of an uphill battle for them, just because if you look at Aperture, you look at Nan which is Nanlux and Nanlite, and you look at these bigger lighting companies, they have great technology, but they don't have a portfolio of product, though they have a great relationship with Datolight. And I think it's going to be a win. And the biggest win for the team over at Aperture, which is obviously by decision, is they're keeping the key players there. And that means that they've got some pretty heavy hitters, not only the engineers behind the ProLight product or products, but they're bringing people over. So Mitch Gross is going to stay within that family, and then you also have Tim Kang now, who's come over from Quasar. So I think a lot of things happening over at Aperture, and I hope that Nanlite and Nanlux really go for it, because you need at least one other player who's sort of in that same space really going for it as well. There you go. Squiggy. I don't know what's going on with that comment, but clarify or ignored. I don't know. Yeah, Kinos, man, awesome. Let's see. One of the primary gaffers I work with here has a kit full of both Aperture and ProLight. He's over the moon that they are merging. Makes sense. You guys see the rumor of new Fujifilm film simulation on September 12th. Looks interesting. I have not. Can you tell me, Ryan, what it is? The rumor? I'd be very interested as a Fuji user. That would be interesting. By the way, A6700 went back today, testing out the FX30 right now. And, that A6700 was interesting. Oh, by the way, tell me if sound and picture is in sync. I'm looking at the teleprompter right now, and it looks like it's slightly off. It's probably fine on the interwebs, but I would like to know from you, just an aside question. But the A6700, and then I'll get back to some of the other stuff, is a really interesting camera. I really liked a lot of things about it. But as soon as I did a USB-C power delivery and an HDMI out, or I had it in a setup like this, even with the temperature set to high, I had the camera give me a warning and more than once go kapute. So FX30, essentially same sensor, and not tuned for stills capture, which I'm not interested in for a camera like that, but and not as, we'll say, advanced in terms of some of the AI functionality. The thing following you on the frame, I couldn't give a rat's ass about. I tried it out. It wasn't ready for prime time. It was sort of like AF 1.0, but for AI and following. It did some weird things. Less things detection, so I don't think you get insects in the FX30, but full HDMI, 2 card slots, and a built-in fan, like the RC5, the R5C. And the R5C, is a monster of a camera. I mean, I just finished the series for Canon on the R5C, and just thinking back about how we were using that camera and what it is, save for not having ProRes, and I wish Canon would license ProRes and put that into their cameras like Fujifilm is doing. It's it's a beast. 8K, really great for shooting backplates and things like that. Incredibly sharp camera. AF system is very, very solid. They're not right now where Sony is. Sony is just insane in terms of their AF technology, but Canon's doing a great job. And quite honestly, as a hybrid camera system, I haven't used a lot of the higher end Sony cameras for that, but I would lean towards an R5C if I was looking for a true hybrid. But the FX30, man, and then we of course yesterday had 2 new Sony cameras announced. The A7C II is probably the one that's most interesting to me because it is a full frame camera. It's very, very compact. There is no fan though, so I'm gonna wait and see. I would like to get one in and do some real tests the way I use a camera. Um, but I want to see if there's no overheating issues. It might be a huge advantage to use that um, camera because you can shoot full frame and you can also go into Super 35 mode. Did my video get a little choppy? It's the first time I'm using the FX30. I feel like I'm kind of like my shutter speed has changed, and I know I turned off a setting in the camera so it wouldn't do some sort of slow shutter weird thing. I need to know. Okay, so we've got to catch up here on the chat, and let's just do this. Get out of town. What's going on with this? $10 from Squiggy. Can you tell me which wait, this is for, oh, I have Squiggy. You have to retract your super chat. I think you're either joking with me or you're on the wrong live stream and you're on the wrong channel because I am not the person who could answer this question. And I don't know how you retract a super chat, but I'm so sorry if that is serious because it's just not my area of expertise. If somebody knows what they're what are we talking about here? What am I missing here? I feel like with the daily drop, I am definitely missing some stuff. Okay, yeah, so I got a little Saving Private Ryan here. I'm gonna go back here and I'm in sync, close enough for streaming at least. But there's this weird thing going on now where the frame rate is changing. And that is a little disturbing because it was just rock solid before. And I do not know what's going on. I'm not recording to camera, I'm just doing straight feed out of here. Um, it's a little disturbing. So I'll have to see on the playback what happens. All right. So Squiggy, you have to bring me up to date or somebody has to. I'm seeing tears and clapping and all this kind of stuff. Thank you. If you're just taking the piss, as they say over on the other side of the pond, I would definitely say Scorpion 180. I mean, come on. Why would you want a Hobby Wing 200 Pro? That's a POS and a PITA to actually use. And Goblin Raw 700 is not happy with the Scorpion. I mean, with the Hobby Wing 200 Pro. The word Pro doesn't mean anything, and I would say that it's a silent X in the X Nova motor, Canova Nova. Reala Film Stock. Ryan says, rumors saying they are going to push it via firmware to cameras. Not clear which models will get it. Well, my guess would be the XH2S would get it and the XH2, but I might be wrong. And man, I'm tripping out with the whole shutter thing happening here. It's no bueno. All right. Let's see. Tis choppy. Electronic speed controller for RC helicopters. Yeah. Sony goblins. What the heck is going on? Okay. I'll take it. I mean, I can buy a fifth of a bottle of good scotch for $10, so I'll take it. Unless it was Canadian, and then it's like negative money. There you go. Yeah, that would be great if they brought out another film simulation. I love shooting with film simulations, but I would love it. There are some packs that you can get where you can get all of those LUTs and apply them to video as well as stills. But I don't think it's been updated in a long time. All right, Squeaky. So that was funny. I hope I'm not on the big screen all jittery juddery over here. This is if I stand still, it's a lot less noticeable, but it is disturbing. I have work to do here. Hope the X100. Tell me if you say V or 5 and just spell it out. Gets it, but I think that's wishful thinking. I would hope so too, Ryan, because I was an early adopter of the they always say the poor man's Leica, well, the X100 5/V/5 is you say V, X100V. Ooh, so not 5. Oh, you say V. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's the camera I have. Well, among way too many other cameras. So 1/10 of a shutter speed. Yeah, this is redonkulous. Actually, what's interesting, I should go over there and change the shutter, is I have the shutter set to a hertz value right now because on the camera, though there's some other setting that's happening that's doing some weird stuff over HDMI is my guess for this. Let me just see. I'm just looking if it's whatever. I set it to a 48 hertz because I'm shooting at 23.98 or 24 frames per second. And the math is essentially to get a 180-degree shutter at 24, you would set your hertz to 48. And you can only set your shutter on a Sony camera, shutter speed, to a 1/50th. So sometimes I do that. And I haven't talked about it. But my guess is this is an HDMI output. So what I'm going to do when I'm done is I'll go take a look at the HDMI output settings and see if there's something that's like an auto setting or something like that. Because it doesn't seem to be consistently exactly the same over the last few minutes. So there you go. You'll get it fixed. Always will. I like being a little wavy gravy every once in a while. It's Wednesday, On Wednesday, I'm thinking about the weekend, but really what I'm doing is I'm thinking about what I've got to get done for the rest of the week, and also, okay, ding dong, I will try 30 frames. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with 30 frames per second, especially with stuff like this. Gremlins, I grew up in the 80s. It's okay. We can have gremlins every once in a while. And my guess is if you're seeing this way, then the live stream is going to be that way. Whether or not I figure out exactly what setting is creating the problem, I don't know, because we went for the first 20 minutes of the stream, maybe 30 plus minutes with nothing happening. And then all of a sudden we had a little problem. And I don't know if this is it doing some sort of weird compensation because I'm not moving around a lot. Maybe if I start doing a lot of moving, it'll start to settle back in. Maybe the interwebs are just being weird. But it's strange because sometimes that happens when it's being pushed out to you, but it doesn't happen when I'm monitoring it on my side and I'm seeing that that's it. I don't think it's overheating. There's a fan built in, and I don't have the camera enclosed. It's open air. I have air conditioning going on in here. So I think temperature-wise, I'm probably floating in like the upper 60s in here right now. So it should not be a temperature issue, but it's a good question. And could just be internal internet lag. Well, that's the thing. I don't think it is because I'm doing a direct monitor of my stream, not on YouTube, but within Ecamm Live. So I'm essentially getting the straight camera feed right now. Let me just make sure it's not the monitor I'm on. I'll just switch over to here. No, and I think that drift has been happening over time, and that's why I was asking whether or not there was a sync problem. It just wasn't as obvious when I was looking at it earlier on. So what are you going to do? I don't know if you're getting a barn tour. The barn tour sort of happens during the daily drop, but I don't really do a big barn tour. I don't have a fancy, it's not a very camera ready space, which is true of a lot of studios. It just sort of, I find these little nooks or places and I use them, and you'll see plenty of it over time during the daily series. Bart says sometimes capture cards or even the streaming software can get hung up. Something in the HDMI signal changes and it can't really keep up. Yeah, it can be weird, but it's the only change in the equation right now, unless there's some sort of internet connectivity problem, and my Wi-Fi's off. is the camera. So I don't know. Let me see. Seems to be getting a little bit better, but it's not quite there. Sync looks good, Ding Dong says. Love the handle. Awesome. I think maybe you've been here before. Who in the chat has not spoken up in the past? Yeah, the frequency mode might be doing it, but it's a hertz setting that's a fixed hertz setting. If you're patient, I'll go over and turn it off, and we'll see. You just have to kind of look at the space for a minute. And is that okay with everybody? I remember Ding Dong too. Yeah, let me. Should I go change it? I'm game for doing it. I just I have to menu dive for a second, but I'd rather do it in real time. You know what? I'm gonna do it in real time. So just hang out here. You'll hear me. I'll be shouting in the distance. Let's see what happens. All right, hold on. All right, talk amongst yourselves. Say some fun things, and I'll see if I can find this menu fast enough. Let's see what we've got here. Where is that menu? Dang it. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Well, let's say variable. There we go. And let's see. Is that it? Maybe. Oh, shoot. I didn't know this. Oh, no, that didn't handle it. I switched to shutter speed. It's perfect when I'm not in the frame. I switched from variable shutter, which is where you set your hertz setting, and then I switched it over to shutter speed. One good thing I did find out is even though there isn't shutter angle in the FX30, there is a 1/48th like there is in the Fuji camera. So I can actually set it when I'm shooting at 24. But all hell could break loose if I switch it over to 30. I'm willing to do it. I mean, like I'm down for it. But let me go just check the HDMI settings, and you can talk amongst yourselves. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm going. Let's see what happens. All right, I'll be back. All right. Looking in the menus, kids. All right, what did I say I'm going to do? I said I'm going to go to the output options. Somebody talk about something. External output, resolution, HDMI, output resolution auto, control. All right. I might have screwed it all up. I'm still seeing a picture. That's good. This might screw it up. Hold on. It reset. Okay, and I'm really going to go crazy here. And I think I'm actually going to try to change the... I don't know why I would do it, but I'm going to try. No, I'm not going to do it. That would be stupid of me. All right. I'm coming back. We'll see what happens. I'm not confident about this situation. Oh! Something changed. The sync isn't perfect, but I don't see the jitters. Whoa. Something is happening. Okay. So let me tell you what happened. I went into the HDMI output settings. A lot of that was set to auto, and I set it to a particular resolution, 1080p. And look, it's happening. So I don't think it was the variable shutter, because variable shutter means that you can dial it in. That's how you get rid of flicker and scan lines and all that kind of stuff. It is the HDMI output options and just setting those to a fixed resolution. So whatever you're doing, set it to a fixed resolution, at least for live streams. Hey, look, I feel good about this. We resolved it within the stream. And I have you to thank. because you're there for me. Okay. Rental houses are hurting for dollars right now, but that's probably why they were closed. Yeah, well, that's what you said. All right, let's see. um, no more you seeming like AI or Max Headroom. I know when Squiggy grew up. I'm right there with you. All right, so there you go. Yep. Um. Oh, really? Okay, you're close to there, huh? Oh, you used to be Thaddeus when you were in LA. Oh, it doesn't take guts. It just, at this point, at this stage of my, shall we call it a career? Uh, you know, what's going to happen? I mean, the worst that would happen is we would have a blank screen. I can usually get through these menus pretty quickly, and the whole thing just goes down, and we talk about it next week. But it was worth it because now I don't think we'll have as many problems. I'm still seeing a little bit of latency on my side. My guess is sync is fine. The live stream is set to low latency, so it probably has something to do with that. And I don't usually just like watch myself talking all the time. That's kind of ridiculous. Though sometimes when I'm doing the daily drop and I'm doing content, it is easier for me to actually, to do that. I don't know why. Yep. I'm not far off, I'll say that. Thank you, Sonny. Appreciate those kind words on a fine Wednesday afternoon here in Oregon, 3:47 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, there you go. So yeah, I'm pretty much set up here. I'm gonna change the angle after the stream, and I'm gonna do the daily drop. It's again gonna be a quick episode today, just an update on a piece of equipment that I'm gonna be using for the daily drop, and it's sort of a constant here now, and I'm loving it. It's there's there's no downtime, which is a good thing. I like to be doing things, and it just keeps, it's not great at night because you know and it's not like I'm an 8 or a 9 hour sleeper anyway. And like yesterday was our anniversary, and I went out to dinner, and then I came back and I hadn't done a play down of the episode, and I knew I had to watch it. So I watched it, and then I came back out here for about an hour or so, and I actually shaved about 3 minutes off of the episode, and cleaned up some stuff. So yeah. So yeah. Whoa, Squiggy. I don't know about that comment about Cincinnati, but I don't know what that means. But I'll take the super chat, and I'm all for it. More drops about film theory. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely some stuff that we can talk about. I'd like to do some more lighting stuff. One of the things that, again, as I let this sort of, become something organically, is just figuring out what I want to talk about and trying to figure out how to do it within a relatively manageable amount of time. And it's part of it is you know, it's a problem that I have as an educator, is I'm not good at really short form content, in the sense of, okay, if somebody's hiring me to shoot a commercial, sure, I can think with a 30, a 60, a 90, a 15. That's fine. How are we communicating something in a short period of time visually? But it's hard from an educator standpoint to really teach anything unless you actually teach it and you actually talk about it. And so I'm struggling with that a little bit. Coffee Talking Tech, I'd be interested to find out what lens you got. That would be great to hear about that. Thank you, DJ, for that. And Oh, okay. Now, Squiggy, I'm starting to grasp the three-way, four-way thing, and it's food related, so I'm all in. So now I have research to do, and I'll be on the YouTubes figuring out some stuff, and it sounds like it's going to be a Cincinnati. I'm going down a road to try to figure some of this stuff out. You know, I still haven't made a true Okie burger. And I love onions. I do them a little bit differently for when I make my burgers, but I want to do those really super thin sliced onions on the mandolin and then just sort of cook them into, the griddle and all that stuff. And I love a good chili. Um, Cincinnati chili with or without beans? My guess is beans, but I might be wrong. What's the city that does it on spaghetti? Oh, Wigan spaghetti. I see that is. I sometimes like because I make bolognese sauce, and you're not too far off. And occasionally I'll make a chili, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want it on rice. I really like that on some spaghetti. I've done it a couple of times. Yeah. So Suray Nightwalker for FX30. Ooh, why is it called the Nightwalker? Why don't I know about that lens? I would like to know more about that lens. I really want to get the nanomorphs. So those from Laowa and test those out, those 1.5Xs. And to my knowledge, the FX30 does a D-squeeze in camera. So if I can set that to 1.5, I'd like to have a play with those. That might be kind of cool. I like what Laowa's doing. I love their 9mm. I own that. I think that's a great little lens. And obviously their probe lenses, no jokes, please, are really, kind of been adopted by a lot of people who are shooting high-end content on even things like phantom cameras and stuff like that. So there you go. Are those night walkers like a 1 or a 0.9? Are they like in that um Kubrick realm? My guess is they'd be a 1 if they're 1 2 you wouldn't call. Well, they're 1.2s. Okay, good. I love my 56 1.2 from Fuji. I wouldn't call it a cine lens, and it's not. But it's a beautiful lens. And on an APS-C slash super 35mm, you're getting a very similar angle of view to a 80mm. But because it's fast, it's a super fast lens. You can go to a 1.2 on it. You can start to get similar types of depth of field as you would get with an 80. So there's math there, and it works most of the time, but we'll keep the science out of it. Yep. Good. I want to know about the spaghetti though with the chili, because I do have a little bit of knowledge of this now. I'm now that I'm thinking about it. Places do all the way. You've got, I guess, three-way. Oh, they like it three ways. It's three-way, like 3 toppings. Wait, here we go. Spaghetti, Cincinnati chili, which is more like sauce. The cheddar cheese, that's a three-way. Okay. So it's the spaghetti, the chili, and the sauce. I used to work at a hotel 30 years ago and would always ask couples if they liked. Okay, now I'm tracking with you, Squiggy. Are apertures that fast actually useful? Brandon, I would say that it depends on the application. You know, really fast lenses when you're opening up to a 1.2, even a 1.4, a 1 or a 0.95. Those lenses are specialized. For photography, they can be absolutely amazing. Still photograph, a portrait or something like that, shot wide open, can be really stunning. And you're focused on an eye or eyes, depending on where somebody is facing, if they're direct to camera or slightly in profile. And it can be, let's say you're focusing on the eye closest to camera, and it's a tighter shot, and you're on a longer lens. It can be really stunning to shoot with a fast, lens wide open. When you get into motion capture, it's a little bit different, and it can be very specialized. I mean, when the whole full frame 5D Mark II shooting wide open of the 1.4 thing happened, you notice that it almost became a look, but it was really because people couldn't keep focus. That you would have things going in and out of focus and like that floatiness to it. It can be effective, but again, for a focus puller, it's very hard. What is really interesting is the AF systems are now getting so good that you can start to experiment with those, especially with the type of IAF that you have out of cameras like Sony. But the thing to understand about lens design is there's sweet spots, and when you're wide open on the lens, it's not the sharpest, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. You probably have a lot of sharpness in the center of your image, and it starts to fall off around the edges. um, and that's not, again, necessarily bad. That can be beautiful, but it's usually when you stop down one or two stops from whatever the widest open is that you get the sweet spot. And a lot of people will say sort of that, if you have an f1.4 lens, when you start to get to a 2, but especially like a 2.8, that's, that 2.8 to about an f8, even maybe to an 11. And then there's other things that happen with lenses when you start stopping them down and you start getting, smaller apertures where you start to get a degraded image as well. So usually wide open and then closed down, that's sort of where the worst parts of the image are. But again, especially wide open, that softness and everything can really be beautiful. And there you go. So hopefully that helps, or at least gives you some of that. Um, but with the AF systems, it's getting kind of interesting. So there you go. Let's see what we got here. Boom, boom, boom. Now I'm going scrolling back. Okay, 4-way can either be onions or beans. Okay, there you go. 5-way is both onions and beans. I'm tracking now. Okay, now you're doing all the work for me, Squiddy. You picked up the 24 first. They have 3 new ones. 24s are great, especially on a crop sensor. For me, I actually need the latitude to avoid having to push my ISO with a noisy camera. What do you mean? Oh wait, I missed something, DJ. So, yeah. Oh, okay. And you mean latitude as in like you're shooting more wide open. And I know some of the stuff that you're shooting for the cooking stuff, Sunny, that's pretty wide open. You definitely are shooting it, but I like that look. I think it works well for the stuff you're doing. Bill, yes. Oh, Bill, thanks for the comment there. Thank you, Squiggy, and thank you for the super chat. And reading, a lot of all this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Any other questions? We are sort of in the whoa. What happened? 3:58. This is what happens with the live stream. And more people this week, which I like. It made the chat more lively. We did some stuff. We're we're in double digits consistently. Imagine if we got to triple. That would be great. Yes. There we go. All right. Good comments. One last question from anybody? All right. I'm going to start wrapping this thing up. Do not forget, before I go shoot tomorrow's episode of the Daily Drop, I've got 2 more to do this week. Next week, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. It is the monthly episode of Camera Flask with myself, Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter, Ben Barden from benbarden.co.uk. We talk about all of this stuff, but it gets really lively because the 3 of us are going. You're coming to the chat, all that fun stuff. Brandon, thank you for coming. DJ, Richard, thanks for coming by. Richard, come back next week for Camera Flask. It'll be lively. And you can have a drink if you want or not. It can be leaded, unleaded. It doesn't matter. That's the whole point. And Coffee Talk and Tech, come back. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Like the things and all the fun stuff. And keep checking out the Daily Drop. If you have friends who are interested in video production, they want to learn things, send them on over, have them check it out. Not every episode is going to be for everybody. Loom, good to see you. But you know, you're going to find stuff in there. There's going to be some nuggets, and it's going to happen. We fixed the camera, at least for now. Things are happening. Hopefully the color's okay. I'm checking out the Cinetone thing. And yeah, smash the like button, subscribe if you're not. I know most of you are. Super chat, come on, get out of here. Are you kidding? Right at the end here, Coffee Talking Tech. Beautiful. Nice to have you. And I appreciate everybody for coming to this whole thing. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Daily Drop tomorrow. See you. Bye.